Good Tuesday, everyone, and welcome into today's daily Bible reading for October the 25th. Today we are reading together from Job chapter 20. Job chapter 20. This is going to be Zophar's second speech in this cycle of three, where each of the three friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, offer three speeches each, and Job has the opportunity to respond to each one of those. That three cycles will conclude after Job's reply to Zophar, which is going to be in the next chapter, chapter 21. And then in chapter 22, we're going to begin the third series or cycle of speeches. And then Elihu will have his say, and then the Lord will interject himself into the picture here in just a few chapters. Let me go ahead and get Zophar's text up on the screen for us, Job chapter 20. And here within this text, Zophar is again, he is focusing in on the wicked person and how the wicked person is not going to prosper, though the wicked person may accumulate things in this life through ill-gotten means. And at the end, those things are going to be taken away from him, and he's not going to have any of it to enjoy for himself. Verse 29 is the summation of it all. This is the wicked person's lot from God, the inheritance God ordained for him. Well, let's see exactly what it is that he is referring to here in Job chapter 20, beginning of verse number 1. Then Zophar the Naamathite replied, "This is why my unsettling thoughts compel me to answer, because I am upset. I have heard a rebuke that insults me, and my understanding makes me reply." Again, he feels as if Job is speaking unfairly about him and the three friends. Job numerous times throughout this text has referred to them as worthless comforters, as people who torment and crush him with their words. He says that of Bildad. He says of Eliphaz that they are miserable comforters. He says in these other sections, well, let me see one more time. He says he mocks them, says, "You are the people with whom wisdom is going to die." So again, there's a lot of snide remarks going back and forth. Again, emotional situations. You have one, especially referring to Job, who is very troubled and distressed within himself. Excuse me. And these friends are not really doing much in the way of comforting him. So he, I guess, feels the need to just express that, to be honest with them. Again, the three friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, don't take too kindly to this. Here is Zophar's reply, and his second reply. Verse number 4. "Don't you know that ever since antiquity, from the time a human was placed on the earth, the joy of the wicked has been brief, and the happiness of the godless has lasted only a moment. Though his arrogance reaches heaven and his head touches the clouds, he will vanish forever like his own dung. Those who know him will ask, where is he? He will fly away like a dream and never be found. He will be chased away like a vision in the night. The eye that saw him will see him no more, and his household will no longer see him. His children will beg from the poor, for his own hands must give back his wealth. His frame may be full of youthful vigor, but it will lie down with him in dust. Though evil tastes sweet in his mouth, and he conceals it under his tongue, though he cherishes it and will not let it go, but keeps it in his mouth, yet the food in his stomach turns into cobra's venom inside him. He swallows wealth, but must vomit it up. God will force it from his stomach. He will suck the poison of cobras. A viper's fangs will kill him. He will not enjoy the streams, the rivers flowing with honey and curds. He must return the fruit of his labor without consuming it. He doesn't enjoy the profits from his trading, for he oppressed and abandoned the poor. He seized a house he did not build, because his appetite is never satisfied. He does not let anything he desires escape. Nothing is left for him to consume, therefore his prosperity will not last. At the height of his success, distress will come to him. The full weight of misery will crush him. When he fills his stomach, God will send his burning anger against him, raining it down on him while he is eating. If he flees from an iron weapon, an arrow from a bronze bow will pierce him. He pulls it out of his back, the flashing tip out of his liver. Terrors come over him. Total darkness is reserved for his treasures. A fire unfanned by human hands will consume him. It will feed on what is left in his tent. The heavens will expose his iniquity, and the earth will rise up against him. The possessions in his house will be removed, flowing away on the day of God's anger. This is the wicked person's lot from God, the inheritance God ordained for him. And that is Job chapter 20. As we've noted on a number of occasions, there are quite a few things here that are true, that are general truths about the wicked, that they will, on the day of God's anger, they will receive judgment from him. That is absolutely the truth. And yet, we need to recognize that that the world doesn't operate as if somebody does something bad and immediately something bad happens to them. I think about what we read previously with the Israelites in the prophets, that God used the wicked kings and kingdoms of Assyria and Babylon to come and to punish God's people. And both of those nations speak specifically about Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, that they became arrogant, and they thought that as the hammer, or as the weapon, the tool, that they were the ones that deserved the glory, and that they had accomplished these things through their own means. Well, God did not immediately cause them to be defeated or punish them by some means, but that type of arrogant attitude progressed over time, and eventually, whenever it came to a certain point, the Lord did act upon it. And that might be the way things operate today. That there will be times whenever wicked people get away with things. They oppress others. They take what is not theirs. They do all sorts of wicked acts, and it might seem as if they are getting away with those things, and that is true sometimes. At least in the short term, from our perspective, it surely seems like they're getting away with those things. But the reality is that whenever it comes to sin, and particular kinds of wickedness, whether it be greed or something else, eventually those things will catch up with us. Other people will see through whatever facade we might be putting up, and they will call us on it. The thing about the saying, "There's no honor amongst thieves," that someone more greedy might come up against that greedy person and end up taking their wealth, and they're left with nothing. But really, at the end of the day, we must remember this: that God will judge. God will hold the wicked person accountable in the last day. That there is no one who commits wickedness and injustice in this life that will get away with it eternally. They will be held accountable. And that's what we must remember. Unfortunately for Zophar and Bildad and Eliphaz, they are thinking that all that happens here now. Maybe it's because they don't quite understand much about the afterlife and about eternity. But be that as it may, we know through what has been revealed to us in Scripture, that which we should be very grateful for, that God will hold the wicked. He will judge them. He will hold them to account, and they will have to answer for their wickedness in this life. Unfortunately, Job is suffering now, not for his wickedness, but for his righteousness. And he's going to have his answer to Zophar in our text we'll be reading tomorrow, Job chapter 21. Hope that you'll be able to join in then. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, everyone. Thanks so much for taking time to read along with me. Have a great day. Take care, and God bless.